Welcome back to the end of a long wait. It's finally here. The last piece of copper stairs that I need. So, welcome back everyone to another episode. Today, we are going to finish off the first level of the villager trading outpost here. Now, in the last couple of episodes, I've been gathering materials on and offline. Almost need to sleep. Getting everything set up so that I can have the whole villager trading session here. So, if we come down here, I've kind of laid down a few things. So, got a temporary little tree farm. I've just kind of AFK, waiting for all these copper blocks to oxidize, which you will see here. I've got the outlines and stuff coming. The reason I need all these is each one of these villager stations is going to contain this color scheme here. Now, the only thing I'm missing is sea lanterns, but I don't feel like taking on the ocean monument over there just yet, so we're gonna build these first. So I've accumulated all of the supplies. I just need to wax these final 7 so that they stay the same color and sleep the night away. And then what I plan on doing is getting all of these set up so that we can start putting in villagers. So let's sleep, and then I will walk through everything. In the absence of free cam, I'm just going to hop into spectator mode real quick. And as you can see, I've made a little bit of progress since the last episode. Didn't want to bore everyone, waiting for all the copper to oxidize. I had this entire top layer covered in copper stairs, and same with this bottom layer under here. You can see that's all cleared out now. And while I was waiting for that to oxidize, I brought over a few of our other villagers, and we even got a few new ones coming from upstairs. So, as we go up here, I have set everything up so that we can start to get a lot of progress done in this world. And most importantly is getting all these villagers up and ready to trade so that we can become powerful and start building the world of our dreams. So, I've got our simple villager breeder here. Right now I don't have any beds so that they don't make any more babies. Put 2 of these guys in here. And this is going to be at the top of the ship, kind of where the captain's deck will be. So I've got a whole thing in a creative world built out. So this is where the villager breeder is going to be. It's going to be hidden away so that when you look from afar, it's going to take shape like this. Now you'll notice I have some sand and dirt there, and that is because my bees have become a bit suicidal. So I need honeycomb to wax all of the copper, and I set up these little bee nests, but they love to just go up into the water, so I had to kind of fence them off temporarily. Anyway, that is not the point of this episode. So, when the babies are born, they're going to come down here, and I'm going to have a rail cart that is going to come pick them up. We're going to convert them into zombies, de-zombify them, and put them in their little trading stations. This will be kind of where they reside, and I'm going to have my enchanting section over here. And down here, a little mini storage section. So this entire right-hand side should be enough to cover all of the main trades I will need from a librarian perspective. And then I'm going to bring some farmers, some toolsmiths maybe, and definitely the stonemason so I can get the different blocks I will need to build everything that we want in this world. So let's come back here where I was and hop back into survival. Great. So I went with an interesting color scheme to me. It's a little dark, but I've got some spruce. I've got the stripped spruce logs. I've got these waxed, weathered, oxidized copper stairs. They're one before full oxidation. And then I have these barrels, which I'm going to be using to store emeralds and other goodies that they trade with. So, librarian, you'll definitely need some books. You'll need some paper potentially. So on one side you'll have emeralds, and the other side you'll have what we'll need to trade with them. That way I can get everything going so I can make a quick stop here. Now I went to come sleep up here and I didn't wax my copper, so let's do that real quick. You can see I've been producing quite a bit of this stuff. So let's get to going and let's start setting up the villager panels is what I'll call them. So we should have enough. I didn't calculate it perfectly. Hopefully we have enough here. But we have a little pattern here, and let's grab also our little barrels here. And we'll clear out this dirt. and let's get to go. So in the past, I've kind of made a similar design here. I really like this setup. It's borrowed from a couple setups I've seen in the past from several different content creators. I like this one, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to actually use this, but typically I put this note block here as a way to, if I need to re-zombify and unzombify. So what this will do is this will pass a redstone signal to some sort of door that will open and allow a zombie to come zombify them, and then it can close again. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use that or if I'm just going to, pull them out with the minecarts, but I put that in just as a kind of a placeholder. Cool. So we're going to go through this. It's basically going to be every other, just like this, where the station is going to be on this log. Lots of spruce involved in this. So I did a lot of tree chopping as I waited for all of this stuff to, oxidize, which took quite a long time, way longer than I thought. So you probably noticed in some of the earlier clips I've had, either in this episode or a previous episode, and you'll probably be like, wow, that guy's an idiot. He had all of the copper next to each other. So I actually had it too close. So I ended up having to move things around and readjust so it oxidized faster. And by faster, I mean it was really not that fast at all. Okay, let's make sure. And I've already messed this up. Lovely. Okay, so we want this. Then the next station is going to be here. So this is going to enclose this one. So now we've got two. And actually I want that here. So let's do this so we have them all the blocks picked. Alright, that way I can kind of see everything and not accidentally keep misplacing these. So then this is going to be here and here. Then we'll get these across. I really hope I have enough copper. Now I should, but I do have more if needed. I went on a huge copper run. I didn't end up smelting or oxidizing at all, so I will have to do that, but that is boring. It's like watching paint dry, which is why I've spared everyone the pleasure of having to watch it, and why I cut to myself with the final one. Okay. So yeah, this is exciting for me because this is where things start to pick up. I have all these grand plans for the world, but, you've got some requirements that you've got to get. You have to make sure you're getting things efficiently, so you need that Fortune 3, and you're not always going to get lucky in a enchanting table just getting that on a pickaxe. You need Silk Touch so that you don't have to smelt everything and so that you can, place glass without having to be worried. And to me, that's just easier if we just grab some villagers. And so I really like to get my economy going in the beginning of the game and kind of focus on giving myself a nice place for all of my villagers to kind of live. And in that way I can, have a good economy, like I said, and as you'll see, I am not the brightest when it comes to playing against some mobs and other things, so I tend to die a lot. And with that, I need a way to quickly recover, or if, worst case scenario, like what happened to me in the nether, off camera, is I will get slain by a piglin brute and just not be able to recover my items. Not for lack of trying, but I didn't feel like going into a death loop. I don't really have tools or infinite gold at the moment, so, just kind of one of those things. So by getting this set up, I can kind of get everything in place, get everything started, feel comfortable, and that way, it's a little less demoralizing when I inevitably perish, because getting my resources back will not be as difficult. Cool. So yeah, I mentioned there's a lot of spruce going on in this build. Don't usually use this much spruce, so this one's kind of new for me, but I wanted it to kind of give ship vibes, because obviously we're in a ship, but, you know, wanted it to be a little dingy, dirty, if you will. That's why I have like the weathered copper stairs here. And once we go upstairs again, I'll show you, but I've actually got some gray carpet. Now, this will serve two purposes, and I'm actually pretty excited by my genius here. There's a really nice texture, and as I was looking at cargo ships online to kind of get some ideas about what I should use for the different blocks, all the decks kind of looked worn out, and they had this like texture, you know, kind of like this grayish, worn out texture, like people have been walking on it a lot. And I was trying to figure out a block to do that, and actually as I was playing around, I was looking at tough, I was looking at all these other things, and then gray wool ended up being just the texture that I was like looking for. You know, that's sort of, it's almost like sandy, if you will, you know, so that you don't slip on a boat. If any of you are familiar with that kind of texture, that's what it looked like online. Maybe I'll throw a reference picture of what I was looking at. But it'll serve two purposes here. It's going to look good from a texture perspective, but it'll prevent mobs from spawning, so I don't need to torch it up. So that'll be really good. So a lot of good textures here, and then I want it to be almost like a transition here. Like this is out in the weather, and then this will be covered. So this one is like still that same texture, but it's not as worn because it's not out into the elements yet. So that's kind of what I'm going for, and it's a little less expensive than tough or, you know, smooth basalt or something like that that has a little bit more, you know, different texture, if you will. So I thought that was a pretty nice find that I could do. But anyway, we're gonna kind of power through this and get all these set up. I'm really, really excited for this, because this is where things will actually start to take off, you know? It'll be more than just me in a death loop against pillagers, or me mining for my first diamonds. Alright. I believe, no, hold on. I wanted to do something at the end here. Ah, yes, 1, 2, 3. I forgot this last one is the actual one there. Okay, so then this goes here, and then or wait, no. I just put that on there because the torches were here in the way. So this is actually the last one. So it's important that I keep 3 blocks worth of space for all of these. So what this will do is the villager is going to sit right here, and they're going to be blocked in. And this needs to be a rail system so I can get them in and out, and so I can send a zombie down if I need to for easy access. The rail will also prevent things from spawning behind, so I can keep it a little dimly lit. It should be pretty light out, like once I get the sea lanterns in here, but it'll kind of take care of mobs from spawning. So if I get here, then I have this 3 here, then I can start like this. Oops, place that backwards. Then I can start here. And what I want to do here is actually slightly different. So I'm actually going to leave some space here for just a giant storage compartment. And this will be like a mini storage. I don't anticipate it to be my large storage system, but you know, just eventually when I get trades really going, this is going to be for ease of access if I need to come in and just grab a book. But you know, if I really want all of my sticks to trade with like a Fletcher or all the coal, I can keep it here. So that's the plan, to stay a little bit organized. We'll see how well that works in the long term, but for now it's a good idea at the bare minimum. Okay, and I'm still up in the air on what to put these blocks. So right now they're going to be dirt, because I'm probably going to put the villagers in before I decorate, but I haven't really decided what I want them to be. I played around in the creative world, and bookshelves look pretty good with the librarians, but that's just for the librarians. And so I want to oops, I put these all backwards. I want something that will lock them in, but that will also be aesthetic. So We'll see. Maybe even a redstone lamp because it'll fit the color palette. But I don't know. We might not need that much light with the sea lantern. So we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I'm pretty happy with this design. Great. So let's just get this around here. And then we can get these. Perfect. Now, I'm pretty sure I have enough of these copper stairs. I still have a couple stacks. Great. Because I can easily make more spruce, and as you can see, I was using right here as the spruce cutter. So basically, for the last, couple hours as I waited for all of these to oxidize, I've just kind of been waiting around, harvesting them as they oxidize, and in the meantime, just chopping down spruce trees, trading with the farmers up there, doing a little bit of the grindy work that needs to get done. So, okay, and then we're gonna have this. And that's gonna be here. So, I hope I have enough barrels. That's incorrect. And I've got a lot of smooth quartz I've been harvesting from downstairs. I've got my stonemason down there, and I brought him over. It's actually pretty good getting them over in boats. They cooperated pretty well. But been trading watermelons upstairs with my farmer for emeralds, and then kind of looping that trade with the stonemason to get as much smooth quartz as I can, because I'm going to need that. That's kind of the trim for the stripe that's going to be down the side. You can see it right there, and it's also going to be what I use for the main bridge, which will be really cool. I tested out white concrete and other white blocks, bone blocks, etc. in Creative World, but the concrete looked a little bit too clean, in my opinion, for something that's supposed to be, if this is going to be on the sea. Oh, I've done this wrong. Am I one off? This is fine. I just need to go one more. For something that's going to be on the sea, I don't need something that's super clean. This little bit of texture I really think goes a long way, because I tried to do it with just the sterile white and it just didn't make sense. So I'm glad there's that. And same with this. There's a little texture to the terracotta versus like a red concrete or something else. So I liked that. It gives kind of like a rusty vibe and a little bit of texture. I think that goes a long way in some of these. Now, I'm not like a professional builder or anything, but I do want to have a little bit of realism into this. I don't want it to be super realist, but again, the goal is to kind of make thinking about this in like almost like a city skylines type of layout. I've got I want to have the different districts, so I've got like my main village that I commandeered in the last couple episodes, and then that will be like maybe an agrarian farmer, like rural area. I want to have an airport because I'm obsessed with airplanes. Obviously, this boat needs like a shipping yard, so there's going to be more of an industrial area, and just kind of really build out the world as I see fit. I think that'll be fun. So that's, it's always fun to see what you can do, and that's kind of where my brain's at, in this moment in time. I've done quite a few different types of builds, but, I always tend to come back to these sort of realistic, but not hyper realistic, but just sort of like making a city out of things. It's just kind of fun to me. Leveling out the terrain, all that. Alright. So the fun part for this is the way I've textured things. I actually have to go up and rip out some of these slabs up top because I'm using upside down stairs, spruce stairs to be specific, as the, top part, so I can get this like little lip as a texture. So there we go. Wonderful. So this is perfect. Now I do need to get these in here. Hopefully I have enough blocks for this. I think I do. And you can see this goes downstairs. So this is where I had the copper, I have my melons, I have the sheep shearing. I haven't checked in a long time, but those sheep should have lots of wool for me to be able to finish the upstairs here. The top of the ship. I am going to need a lot more. An iron farm so that I can have a bunch of iron trapdoors, but, we can take those as they come. First and foremost, I need to become somewhat invincible so that I don't die as often, so that I can go get the blocks that I need and, conquer the different bosses. Now, the interesting part for me is some of the newer bosses, I have not beaten and I have not messed around with. So, like the Warden, that one's going to be fun to mess around with. I have not played with the Deep Dark at all. I've done it in the creative mode, and I've played Liminal Industries and other modded stuff that include the Warden, but I have not kind of explored that side, so I'm really looking forward to doing that and kind of, seeing what there is there. I also have the armor trimmings and stuff like that I haven't really played around with, so it's gonna be a really fun time getting all geared up and going through those. Something about this game, it's just always fresh for me, at least. It's been around for 15 years now, 16 years, and it still doesn't get old. Alright, so we've almost got this done, so let me sleep and then we'll put in the next layer. Alright, so we made it all the way around with about a stack and a half to spare of copper stairs. Now's the big one. So I've got all these logs I need to place and strip, and then I've got a few hundred of these spruce stairs to place. So you can see this is what I was talking about. I want that texture to kind of gradually come in, and so I've got to replace this top one with stairs. And I don't know what my bee is thinking. The hive is downstairs, bro. Come on. Man, I've never really done too much with bees. I've done the obligatory, I gotta breed them and get some honey, get the honey blocks, but never at scale like I have with this project. And I gotta say, they're almost as annoying as villagers, and that's really saying something, because villagers take the cake of being the most annoying mob to deal with. So, and speaking of which, I know that you can now tame ghasts, so that should be a really fun thing to, go through. So I'm really looking forward to that one, actually. Okay, so let's get on up here. So we can place this. Great. Yep, want to get this all organized, and then I will feel much better. So I plan on having my villagers on this side, and then I want to have a few micro farms, not a full industrial area, because I don't want this to get too laggy, and I'm not trying to build that. But if I can have a couple crops and stuff downstairs, maybe all the sheep to shear the sheep, because this is where I'll spend some time, at least in the beginning, grinding out the different books. And, this will be my XP farm for the time being, because trading is actually a really good source of experience. I did find a zombie spawner, but it's back at the very first place that I made a base. I'm not sure I'm going to go back there too often, and don't really want to travel through the nether just to, get some XP. And I don't have access to the end just yet, so no Enderman farms for me at the moment. So, in the interim, I think we can do that. And if I'm going to be trading and spending some time here, having some passive farms, melon and pumpkin. You know, you hear the sheep getting sheared below. Having those, just so I can have some resources, would be good. So that is the ultimate goal for this area. And then, you know, I think it's only natural after that, depending on how, you know, bored I get of this particular part of the project. You know, I think it's natural to build over here where the ship is coming from, which is, you know, the shipyard. And I'm probably going to model it after, you know, the docks in Seattle, the south of downtown. I think those are pretty cool. They're obviously, like, probably pretty standard for anyone who works along the docks, but for me, I used to live in Seattle, and it's also kind of part of the sound. So instead of being a true just like open ocean like this to like just land, it actually does land on both sides. And so over there's kind of a little bit of a channel, and maybe I can build that out so it's kind of a fun little thing there. But we'll see. For now, I gotta stay focused and make sure I get this one done before starting anything else. But I'm really excited for this to come together. I think I designed something pretty cool. Okay, so I think I'm just going to place all of the logs and then strip them afterwards. Okay, so a couple stacks should do. There we go. And I'll obviously have to remove some of these for where the sea lanterns are going to go. That is okay. I think it'll be easier to just place everything. So let me know in the comments what you think about my design so far. I'm not typically that much of a designer. I can follow instructions really well, which, by the way, shout out to, I think their name is Brea. I will have a link in the description. That is what this ship is actually modeled off of. I have a link from the model they created. It's absolutely stunning design. You know, a lot of detail into this. I changed a few parts to be able to fit my villager breeder, but ultimately the overall, like, you know, dimensions and whatnot, I think they did a really good job putting this together. So put the link in the description for that, and you know, we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm curious to hear about the colors that I choose, what you guys think. That's not usually my forte. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a technical Minecrafter either, so I'm kind of, you know, I just like to play. But, you know, I do like things to have purpose and look somewhat okay. Okay, let's get up here. I'm curious to see how many of these spruce logs I chopped so far. I'll have to take a look. I think spruce is probably my most harvested and placed block thus far in this series. No joke, these stairs took way too long to oxidize. I thought it would be much quicker. Now, I did make that mistake of placing them too close together, but still, you know, I watch all these episodes of different people online playing, and they're just like, oh yeah, I set these out and we'll come back and they'll be oxidized. And man, at this, I've never done it at this scale, but like, hats off to every one of you that have done that. You know, I didn't realize how much of a time sink it really is and really can be with this much. So, you know, nice little AFK session that I've had. By AFK, I mean, you know, waiting for the copper and harvesting it by chopping down trees. Okay. So yeah, in between these is going to be where the sea lanterns go. And for now, I'm just going to put torches. Now, I'm hoping that I can find a couple ocean monuments, because that will mean that I can get enough sea lanterns without having to create a guardian farm just yet, because those are quite time intensive. Because you got to clear out the monument, you've got to fill it with sand, and you know, it's a whole process. And I don't feel like doing that just to get a few sea lanterns in here. So I'm hoping with this design, I also want these to be sea lanterns, that I can at least get like majority of these from just like after I take care of the Elder Guardian, just, you know, harvest the rest from the Ocean Monument and be good for at least the time being. Eventually, I want all, you know, the proper farms. I'm not going to go full super technical on all of them, you know, because there are some crazy, ridiculous stuff like raid farms. I don't even think those work anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. The only one that I'll probably go really hardcore in is the Enderman farm, because there's some really cool ones out there, and that one is just super easy to do at scale really quickly, especially because like the end is very conducive. There's not that many mobs besides the Endermen themselves. So, but you know, in the past I've done like the mega gold farm that's super optimized, and that just takes so long, you know, and you don't necessarily need all of that. Okay, here we go. Now I did mess up, I think it was that one, but I want to grab all my logs. I didn't spend all this time chopping them down to lose any of them, and then we'll just walk around and strip things. Okay, it's one of these. Yep, here we go. Now it's this one that I need. Great. Now let's see how my axe does. See if I have to repair it at all. I'm also going to need to make some torches because it's getting quite dark in here with all these blocks placed now. And the only thing that I like to really be particular about in my designs is I like to make it so that there's no real torches just hanging out. Like while I build things and get things set up, I don't mind putting them down, but I like the build. I think it looks cleaner if there's no torches. Now, you know, if there's not torch spam like this, but if there is like a build that I'm going for the aesthetic of torches, like maybe a dungeon or something, I think that does make sense. But in this case, I want to get rid of them. I don't want any mobs to spawn in here, so I'm pretty sure I calculated it correct that the sea lanterns should cover everything. And the cool thing is if it doesn't, because all of this roof is actually, you know, up to the top, that's going to have gray carpet on top. So you won't see if I have to use a block that doesn't fit the palette up top, because it'll all be covered in this gray carpet. So that's another benefit that I have there. Okay, so let's sleep, and then I'm going to create some torches and we'll light things up. And now, let's light this baby up, and then we'll go upstairs and start carving out this these slabs so that I can replace them with stairs. So on this side, that's where we'll start. And then we want it to go to, so it needs to be here, right? Let's just make sure. Because I want that lip poking out, I think. Yep, perfect. Okay. So then just pop this guy out here. Then this, and this will go all the way down to here. Alright, so let's get to deconstructing this roof here, and we'll cut back when I've made a bit more progress. Alright, now let's go make sure downstairs that none of these are in the wrong place. This is looking good so far. I'm really liking the aesthetic here. I think this is going to be really cozy for our friendly villagers' forever homes down here. Oh, some slabs that I missed. But yeah, I still got to figure out what I want to do in these corners. You can do some really cool things at the corners, so especially with these as sea lanterns. I don't want it to be another sea lantern in the middle, so might be a cool design there. And then I'm going to have some chests 5 high. And then, yep, since those are slabs, they should be able to open, so that'll be good. And I believe with that, this is a good skeleton of where we're going to be. I just now have to move this entire, inventory of stuff, because the last thing I need to place is my enchanting table. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so the way I wanted to do this is to kind of have it be a little inset into here. So, take care of these. See, I don't need that anymore. Or that. Great. And then let's just throw a torch down before I forget and have a zombie song. Okay, so let's see. There's probably going to be some walls here. Great. So what we want to do is we want to find the exact middle, which I've marked with this torch. And then I want our enchanting table to sit right here in the middle, and then have everything go around it, which means it will back up against here. So I just haven't really decided if I want this to be level or if I want it to be one block down. I think I want it to be level here so that I can have all of that, the bookcase where we have the water flowing. So actually, that means that I need this to be one more. There we go. Because then we will have one block of space that we need. You can hear the sheep getting sheared, which is fantastic, because that means I can finally finish the top. Just been patiently waiting. Okay. So all of this goes around, and we need these to be one more. Now let's do this without spilling water. Okay. How do we want to do this? 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 5 is 11. And then I need 4 more on the top. But I want this to look look even. So I think for now, until we get another bookshelf, we're just gonna kinda do something like this. And I don't think this gives us what we need, because this is inside. So let's do that. Let's go sleep before baddies start spawning and get us. Alright, so we have our enchanting station. So I'm quite excited about this. I'm not sure what kind of block I'm going to use. I'll use dirt for now, but this is going to be kind of inset. So for all of this, I will be able to trade to my heart's content, get everything I need from an item perspective, and then, as you can see, I have a lot of levels from trading with villagers. So then we'll be able to come in here and enchant whatever we need. I'm also going to have one wherever I end up doing my Enderman farm, because that's kind of like the obvious place to have one, but here's not too bad either, because I'll have some levels, and I'll have an anvil, I'll have a grindstone, little chest to keep the lapis in, and I think this is quite cozy. So hope you enjoyed this kind kind of like build that we've done. I think the only thing I want to do before we close this out is let's actually get some chests going at the very end to kind of finish up what we've got. And I actually don't have a crafting table down here, and I'm tired of going upstairs to do it. So let's count this out. I wanted to do one outline of sea lanterns. So we're going to do this. And everything else should be chests. That would leave us 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, do I want sea lanterns up there? We'll see. So it's, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it should be 5 by 5. Just be a square. We'll figure out what we want to do with the sea lantern decoration. I do want it to kind of frame what we have. So 5 by 5. So we have 5 chests times 8 planks times 5. So 50 of these. Do I even have enough? I don't. This is a problem that we can easily solve. Okay, so we're going to do this. 3, 4, and then 5. Because I think what we can do, since this is wool, instead of having them here, I can have sea lanterns up there potentially, but then you can't open the top chest. So we'll have to see what we do with the design there. But for now, let's put these in, get the finishing touches on this little room here. I drastically underestimated that because my math sucks. In the video, you can now make fun of me. I calculated half those because each one of these are double chests. Way to go. But that is why we harvested way more spruce and way more wood than we could ever need. Because now, we're just going to create that. Because who doesn't need 32 chests, right? Right. So we should need, if my math is not terrible this time, we should have actually needed 50 instead of 25. So this should give us 2 to 4 extra chests if my math is correct. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We've got 2 more to go. So we'll do this. Then it'll actually be easier to access from this side. So we'll do this, this, that, and that. Hey, look, my math wasn't too bad that time. Okay, so here is the problem that we are going to have if we use sea lanterns all the way around. It's going to be nice, but you can't have them above here, so they would have to stick out 1. Actually, that would work perfectly. So what am I thinking? Yeah, that would actually work perfectly. I was thinking they were going to block the actual chest, but see, they can open because that is a slab above. So that's actually perfect. So with that, I think this will be good because then if I do sea lanterns, I can either, well, I guess that's going to be in front then. So I'll have to create them. I would have to frame it 1 ahead. I'm not sure I like that, which means that I might want to back this up. Not sure what I want to do yet. So let me think on that. And with that, I think I'll call this an episode. So before we head out, let's just take a good look in spectator view. I think this really came out nice. And we'll be able to kind of put our villagers in their forever homes very soon. And then, as you can see, because we have the breeder right here, anytime we need a new one for whatever reason, you know, game update doesn't work, chunks don't load, an incident happens, if you will. You know, we can always repopulate. But I really like the way the copper works with the spruce. I think the texture on the floor is really fun. So we'll have to see what you guys think. So let me know in the comments what you like, dislike about this. And with that, we'll call it here. So I hope you guys have a great day, whatever day it is that you're watching this. Great evening, great morning, whatever. And I will see you in the next episode.